all that different. Watch out here. That was a backward pass, and it's coming back over to Lewis. Solder in front. A whole brigade, but Miles Jack falls on it, comes up with the football. He's got the football in his hands.
Oh, I think he got it, Jim.
Stepping up and throwing, and it is knocked down by Gilmore.
Believe it or not, the Jaguars were once actual Super Bowl contenders. In 2017, they made it all the way to the AFC Championship round. They weren't projected to win a lot of games. They're supposed to be middle of the pack. They had seasons where they had done pretty bad. They made it to the championship game and could have won if Miles Jack wasn't down. But ultimately, they lost to, of course, Tom Brady. This team was known as Saxonville for their stellar defense, one of the best defenses we've seen in the 2010s. And the question I'm going to answer was, who was this 2017 Saxonville team? And let's get to it. The anchor of this team was Calais Campbell. He was front left center of this squad. He'd record 3 fumbles, 67 tackles, 47 solo tackles, 14.5 sacks, and 30 QB hits. Campbell will make some real crucial plays throughout the season and really step up for this defense. And this season would ultimately earn him one of his many Pro Bowls. Alright, next up is Yannick Ngakoue. He was another key piece on this Jaguars defense. He'd record 6 fumbles, 30 tackles, 24 solo tackles, 12 sacks, and 23 QB hits. He was just as forceful as a defensive lineman, as Campbell. Of course, Campbell was the anchor, but Ngakoue was definitely up there. Alright, you know this guy, it's Jalen Ramsey. He was a Jaguar for a couple of years before going on to the Rams and now on the Dolphins. He was real good. 4 interceptions, 17 passes defended, 63 tackles with over 50 solo tackles. Ramsey, like Ngakoue and Campbell, was indeed a Pro Bowler. While Campbell was the anchor of the defense, Ramsey was the anchor of the secondary. Next we have AJ Boye, who actually might be better than Ramsey was. Well, Ramsey was a household name. Boye had 6 interceptions, 18 passes defended, and only 3 tackles assisted. He might have been the anchor of the secondary. Him and Ramsey were just a force to be reckoned with, and it showed throughout the season. And in the linebacking core, we had Telvin Smith, name you probably haven't heard of much, but he was pretty good this 2017 season. 102 tackles, over 70 solo. He only had 2 QB hits, but had 3 interceptions and 5 passes defended. Sure, not as impressive as Boye, Ramsey, or Campbell, but 102 tackles is pretty darn good if you ask me. Alright, finally on this defense, the final Pro Bowler is Malik Jackson. Malik Jackson had 3 passes defended, 40 goes 31 solo, and 11 QB hits. Pretty good, above average numbers. However, he was a Pro Bowler. I mean, he was just one of the many star-studded players on this Jaguars defense. Alright, let's look at the offense. While the D was stacked, the Jaguars didn't produce any offensive Pro Bowlers. Bortles was manageable. 60% completion rate, over 3,600 yards, 21 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, and 322 rushing yards. Leonard Fournette, on the other hand, was pretty good. He wasn't a Pro Bowler, but he had one of the best seasons in his career. Fournette rushed for over 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, and caught over 300 receiving yards. The Corps were manageable. They had players such as Keon Cole and Marquise Lee, who both caught over 700 yards, and not to mention veteran Mercedes Lewis. The Jaguars opened up strong, playing against the Houston Texans. They would steamroll the Texans 29-7, and to be fair, this was kind of a rebuilding year for the Texans, but what shocked me was that they defeated the Ravens 44-7. Sure, the Ravens weren't as good as they are now, but they were okay. Then they lose to the Jets, who, if you know, are the Jets. They would then beat the Steelers 30-9, only to lose to the Rams 27-17. After going 500, the Colts would go on a 5-game winning streak, beating teams like the Bengals and Browns, before losing to the Cardinals barely, 27-24. Then they would defeat the Colts 30-10, and then finish off the season 10-6. To be fair, I think their schedule was a bit easy. Sure, the Texans and Colts were pretty bad. The Titans were okay, but this was the Mariota Titans. They also played teams like the 49ers, Cardinals. I mean, they did play some. The only hard teams I can think of were the Steelers, Rams, and Seahawks, and they defeated the Steelers. But they also lost some really easy games, like against the Jaguars and 49ers. This wasn't a cakewalk of a schedule, but it was pretty manageable. Now, in the playoffs, they would have a defensive struggle against the Bills, but overall they managed to make through, winning 10-3. Then they shocked the entire football world, and I guess had some luck from the football gods on their side by beating the number 2 seeded Steelers at Heinz Field. And they would take a 20-10 lead in the fourth quarter against the Patriots in the AFC Divisional, and they could have ran away with it. However, Miles Jack was unfortunately called down, and it will remain a massive what if in the Jaguars fandoms. And of course, Tom Brady in Tom Brady fashion came away with the victory. The Jaguars from 2018 to 2020 were absolute trash, and they would eventually get Trevor Lawrence, who might be the solution. I'm not sure. I mean, they did give the Chiefs a good fight in the 2022 AFC Divisional, but in 2018, a lot of factors went wrong. A few injuries to the offense, the defense wasn't as productive, Blake Bortles got benched in favor of Cody Kessler, and overall, luck was just not on their side that season. In many ways, the Saxonville Jaguars were a lot like the 2021 Giants. They were an extremely surprising one-hit wonder. Maybe with Travis Hunter, the Jaguars will get back on the right track, though only time will tell. But what do you think? Were the 2017 Jags very lucky? Could 2025 be another playoff season with Hunter and Lawrence? Give me your thoughts. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.